Today we join the entire island in observation of Labor Day and the culmination of National Workers' Week. Though we are celebrating in a different form than yesteryears, highlighting the day is just as important. We hope you stayed home, stayed safe, and cleaned up your spaces. All the mosquito breeding sites have been detected and destroyed. You've planted your backyard garden, and now you're ready to see what Jamaica Magazine has in store for you. Well, wait no more. Take a look. Government is serious about providing Jamaicans with a safe, healthy, natural environment. And the head of government, Andrew Holness, is leading by example this Labor Day. See how next.
My fellow Jamaicans, Workers' Week and the Labor Day 2021 find us still in the grip of the pandemic. Consequently, the overall theme, safeguarding our labor force amid COVID-19, is particularly relevant. In July 2020, almost 5 months after our first coronavirus case, employment fell by an estimated 135,000 jobs compared to July 2019. As at January 2021, 74,300 jobs had been lost compared to January 2020. While this shows that there is some recovery taking place as the economy adapts to the pandemic, we are still some way off from recovering all the jobs we have lost and creating net new jobs above pre-pandemic levels. These statistics do not convey the full sense of dislocation and hardship being experienced on a human level by those 74,000 persons who have been without income, faced with bills and families to feed. Nevertheless, and despite a fall off in public revenues of 76 billion Jamaican dollars, the government has managed the public finances in such a way as to ensure that job security and income of public sector workers have not been adversely affected during the pandemic. The government also responded with a comprehensive 20 billion care program of social support to assist the vulnerable and those who have lost their jobs and income. This provided relief and support to approximately 50,000 Jamaican workers for a 9-month period. In addition, approximately 500,000 Jamaicans received direct cash transfers. Never before has any administration responded to a crisis in such a comprehensive, efficient, transparent, accountable, and equitable way. However, government cannot carry a social support program indefinitely with falling revenues. We must get our economy back on track and our people back to work. That is why we have announced the 60 billion social and economic recovery and vaccination program for Jamaica, the SERVE program, which will provide the foundation for the country's economic revival. Already, we are seeing the positive effects on economic recovery for countries that have attained high levels of vaccinations. We cannot afford to be left behind. We will, be spending over $30 billion on infrastructure, including the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, which will mobilize local labor and skills. We will be spending $10.5 billion in special resources on health, including $6 billion on vaccines to ensure that our workers are healthy and develop immunity to the coronavirus. We will be spending $5 billion on support for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses to ensure that they can withstand the economic ravages of the pandemic and continue to create the jobs and income for those 74,000 persons and their families who may be without jobs and income. We will be spending $8.1 billion in additional care and social well-being support for the vulnerable and those unable to work and earn an income. We will be spending $1.7 billion for rural farm roads and productivity incentives to boost agricultural employment and production. We will be spending $1.8 billion to expand Wi-Fi and broadband in schools and communities, especially the rural areas, so that our children can get access to online education and our workers can work remotely where necessary and practical. Economic recovery is in the best interest of labor. We must rapidly implement our highway and infrastructure construction projects, our broadband access projects, and support our businesses to return to full productivity. We must also get vaccinated as soon as vaccines are available and it is your turn. This will ensure that we all can go back to work safely and earn an income. You know, historically, our Jamaican workers have been very vocal and assertive in defending their interests. As workers, we must reject all those who seem to have no genuine interest in our speedy economic recovery and would seek to delay our infrastructure development and discourage us from taking vaccines. They do not have the workers' interests, your interest, at heart. Now, Labor Day is a time in which we recognize and celebrate the contribution of the worker and the labor struggle to national development. It is significant that Workers' Week this year coincides with the execution of the Right Excellent Sam Sharp, national hero, on May 23rd, 1832, which was precipitated by the 1831 Sam Sharp War. I must seize the opportunity to recognize and salute our workers who continue to display resilience and determination during this pandemic. Those whose daily sacrifices have ultimately been responsible for the safety and security of our communities. I speak of our first responders, our law enforcement officers, essential service providers, and many others. We recognize and thank every single one of you. You have all helped us to navigate the worst of the pandemic, and we are immeasurably grateful. We celebrate the contribution of Labor Day to national development by promoting collective engagement on behalf of the wider worker community. This year, Labor Day will be celebrated on Monday, May 24th, and it will indeed be different. With an all-day curfew, it is a no-movement day. Therefore, we will not be able to carry out the many community projects traditionally linked to the day. We, however, invite Jamaicans to be creative and carry out activities around their homes under the theme, promoting a clean and healthy environment. I invite us to focus on cleaning up and beautifying our homes and surroundings. We encourage you this Labor Day to stay home, stay safe, and clean up your space. Happy Workers' Week, happy Labor Day, as Jamaica looks forward to a speedy, stronger, and fair recovery.
Up next, the Labor Day message from Leader of the Opposition, Mark Golding.
My fellow Jamaicans, I greet you well. Labor Day is normally a time when we come together in voluntary work for the betterment of our communities. However, for the second year in a row, the global pandemic COVID-19 has touched all aspects of our lives. So this Labor Day, we're being asked to tan our yard and do productive work at our homes, cleaning up, planting trees, starting gardens, whatever. Be useful at home. We are resourceful and resilient Jamaicans. Let us make this an opportunity to bring positive change to our immediate environment in celebration of Labor Day. The ravages of this pandemic have taken a heavy toll on the workers of the nation. Our labor force, and in particular our essential workers, have served on the front lines. We owe them a debt of gratitude. Our healthcare professionals, our transport workers, supermarket and gas station attendants, police officers, soldiers, firemen, and so many others. You have contributed by playing your critical roles without which our society just cannot function. In these most challenging times, we must recognize the great contribution that the labor movement and the working class have made to our country's development throughout our history. We cannot forget that in 1972 it was Prime Minister Michael Manley who reflected on the fact that Labor Day was once a holiday known as Empire Day, harking back to the days of colonial rule. And he decided that Jamaica must reclaim that day and celebrate the dignity of work. So today, as we labor at home and tan our yard, I extend heartfelt gratitude to the Jamaican workers. Let us celebrate you and recognize the essential dignity of all forms of honest labor. Have a wonderful and productive Labor Day.
The numbers keep climbing, and yet some of you are still complaining about curfew times. Is that being selfish, or are you being smart? You continue to blame the government, stating they are not doing enough. But the big question is, are you doing your part to help decrease the spread? The unfortunate reality is that far too many people refuse to take the coronavirus pandemic seriously until they or someone they love gets infected. Now, this is what we do not want, and I don't believe I can stress this enough. Wear your mask, sanitize. Of course, we love to hug and socialize, but just ease off some of that right now. Not just for your safety, but also for others. It looks hard for your relatives to be home doing all they need to in order not to catch the virus, and you out on the road being reckless and carrying it right home to them. Each one of us needs to help during this fight against COVID-19 as we work to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business in a healthy environment.
You've planted your fruit trees and your vegetable gardens, but how about planting a tree that's of world-renowned beauty? During a stroll down any Jamaican road in the summer, prepare to be stunned by the natural beauty of one of the planet's most beautiful trees. Its flaming red, orange or yellow flower sets it apart from the other flora around. When the wind caresses its umbrella-shaped crown, its pods make an enthralling sound. Oh yes, you've encountered the prismatic poinsiana.
It's a very popular tree in Jamaica, and it's been planted for over 100 years.
Delonix regia is a flowering member of the bean family. It's known here in Jamaica as the Royal Poinsiana. Other parts of the Caribbean call it flamboyant, flame of the forest, or flame tree. A native of Madagascar, a country off the coast of the African continent, this striking plant is a feature of many Caribbean landscapes. It is also common in the tropical parts of Asia, the Pacific and Australia, as well as North, Central and South America. The Royal Poinsiana is the official tree of Key West, Florida. It has also been the long-standing national flower of St. Kitts and Nevis. Not surprising then that it would take its name from the man who is believed to have introduced the plant to the region, St. Kitts and Nevis's first French governor, Philippe de Poincy.
It came to us via St. Kitts and was introduced at around the same time that Castleton was formed as a botanical garden. So it got here at the same time with some other legumes, meaning trees that are in the bean family. So it's in the same section of the bean family as, say, thinking toe, which a lot of people know, and logwood.
This evergreen plant grows tall and fast, reaching heights of up to 12 meters in 6 years under favorable conditions. The Royal Poinsiana's trunk can be wide but not overly large, as it produces a light flimsy wood. Its bark is usually smooth and straight, but may extend into several stalks and grows low with regular pruning. The tree's big green buds burst open to reveal large showy pentamerous petals, complete with its fruit protruding through its center. This legume starts out soft, small and green, then ripens into a long, hard wooden brown pod.
The seeds are large, which means that they have enough food stored to just exist in a room at ambient temperature.
The plant grows easily from seeds or cuttings. As a member of the legume family, the leaves of the Royal Poinsiana are compound in nature, comprising of several little leaflets. These fern-like leaves form a dense, unmistakable umbrella-like canopy, a well-needed respite from the hot summer sun.
Because the flowers are so showy and conspicuous, lots of people like to plant it. Over the years, we have had it in many parks, and it has generally reproduced itself in any possible space that it finds suitable.
Though revered for its ornamental quality, the pods of the Royal Poinsiana are also ideal for art and craft. You can make necklaces, bracelets, or art pieces by dabbing it with some paint. You may get a percussion instrument by shaking the pods, or you can make an actual maraca by placing the seeds into a calabash.
There are also studies of the chemical compounds found in the seed, but that's strictly an academic exercise. I gather from some searches that some folks in the Central American area use it medicinally.
If you're interested in brightening up your piece of the rock with this flaming forest flower, then here are some things you may need to know. While incomparable in its beauty, the Royal Poinsiana is an insect magnet. It's prone to termite infestation and has its own caterpillar that turns into a moth along its bark. And this tree sheds. So depending on how you view the world, it could be a messy pile of flowers or your own summer snow. Due to its dense shade, the Royal Poinsiana may prevent the growth of other trees. Its extensive root system may also pose a threat to your sidewalks.
It's a tree that needs to be tended if you're going to put it in your yard. But it's worth it because in a good year of blooming, it is rather spectacular.
If you're still mesmerized by this statement piece, you may purchase a plant with a color of your choosing from the Forestry Department.
Mosquitoes can spread diseases such as dengue fever. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent that contains DEET. Sleep under a mosquito net, close windows before dark, open windows and doors during fogging, cover your body as much as possible, and wear light-colored clothing. Protect yourself from dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases. Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding in your surroundings. A message from the Ministry of Health.
A final word from us on this Labor Day. Remember to regularly check your surroundings for mosquito breeding sites. And if you've discovered some, here's how to destroy them.
We're looking for any container or anything which can hold water. It doesn't need a lot of water for that mosquito to deposit its eggs. Very shallow quantity of water they can deposit in it.
The rain has fallen and this has collected water. And if it is allowed to sit in the environment for a couple of days, the Aedes aegypti will breed on it. This is a plastic over a pail and the water is on the plastic. This is a beautiful breeding site for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. We have a similar one right here. There's water on the top of this container and the Aedes aegypti mosquito will breed in it. Once the water begins to evaporate and she has a space to lay her eggs, she will lay her eggs and this will then become a breeding site. Turn it over. We do appreciate that roof gutters are very necessary in some areas that do not have piped water, so it helps to collect the rainwater when it comes. However, if these roof drains become blocked by trash or other things, then it makes the water stagnant and it becomes a major breeding site for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So it's important if you have these roof gutters that you keep them clear, that the water is able to run. Even among your plants, we have plants that are, because of how the leaves overlap each other, they are able to collect water. And Aedes aegypti loves to breed in those environments. We suggest that persons do. If you think you love these plants and you want them, put them in pots. So when they do collect water, you're able to pick up the pots, drain them out and put them down. Because as it is right now, it's very difficult for us to get rid of the water and they will just continue to be in the environment as breeding sites.
This is a tire which has been discarded, but it's just in the backyard. And what we have now is apparently rainwater has now settled inside there, and we have it breeding. The Aedes are back to the breeding inside here. It can be used as an enclosure for your plants, like a potted plant situation. So what we'll show you now is how we can have it filled with dirt that will ensure that when rain does fall, mosquito will not breed in it.
There's also a method of stacking the tires so that they will not collect water. We advise the tire shop owners to, for each tire that they get, to punch a hole in each of the tires. Once that is done, they can stock them in this plaiting form. So they have one row going in a particular direction and then another set going in the opposite direction, and they will continue with this. What this does, it allows the water to be directed towards where the hole is bored. So even if the rain comes and water goes in, the water will not settle but go out. We know that most churches have what is called a baptismal pool. And we have found baptismal pools to be a major breeding site for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So what is it that churches should do? We recommend that all baptismal pools be covered properly so that the mosquito will not have access to it for breeding. Sometimes the pools are shaped very funny, and so it's very difficult to cover. In those instances, we ask persons to empty the pool at least once per week. And after emptying the pool, we ask that you scrub the sides to ensure that you have dislodged all the eggs. So we saw many sites that were breeding the Aedes aegypti mosquito today. And we saw that these sites were found in and around our homes, business places. And if we do not deal with these breeding sites, they are going to continue to be there, posing a risk for the transmission of diseases because they are breeding the Aedes aegypti the mosquito. So you must take action to rid your environment of those sites. So what is it that we're asking you to do? We want you to make this a habit. Once a week, search for and destroy the breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Jamaica, we are in the throes of a pandemic. COVID-19 cases are on the rise. COVID-19 related deaths are climbing. COVID-19 bed capacity at our hospitals has been maxed out. Yet still, some of us continue to flout the COVID-19 containment measures. Some of us still refuse to wear masks in public places. We still gather in groups of more than 10. We still break the curfew hours. And we still attend illegal parties. Wise up! Take responsibility for your health. Safeguard the health of your loved ones. Obey the COVID-19 protocols.
That's all the time we have left here on this Labor Day edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. Missed aspects of today's show? Worry not. Watch it in full online. There's our website and our YouTube channel. You may also want to catch up on the latest government information, such as curfew hours, gathering limit, and other COVID-19 containment measures on our social media pages. On behalf of the entire team here at the GIS, I am Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.